who's wanting to self-publish but you don't really know where to start? Well, I published 2 books and I'm here to tell you exactly how to do it. So grab your tea, grab a thick blanket, cozy up somewhere. We're just gonna get right into it. Alright, step 1. Let's say you have a finished manuscript, completely written. You have a rough draft of it. You're gonna try to get it as good as you can on your own. So that means you're gonna self-edit. You're gonna go through, make sure that everything you can change by yourself, that you can see that needs to be changed or fixed, is fixed. After you self-edit, you're gonna wanna find a critique partner. So a critique partner is basically another writer friend who you agree to swap stories, to read each other's work, to offer constructive criticism, feedback, or just to cheer on each other about your goals. In this case, you're gonna want some feedback on your manuscript from a friend. So after you get that feedback from them, you're gonna want to implement all of that feedback that you think needs to be changed in the book. There's a healthy balance between taking every single suggestion or being so determined to not change anything and not seeing that maybe there is a problem with this one thing and it's just so close to your heart that you just don't want to change it, but sometimes it needs to be changed. So you need to find the healthy medium in between those two things of being so open to changing everything that everyone might think is wrong with it, when in reality maybe some of those things don't need to be changed and it's just a few readers' preferences, and not taking criticism. So one way that I like to go about this is if it's something that you can automatically see needs to be changed, then definitely change it. If it's something that you're not sure about, then maybe wait till after beta reading before you change it. And if multiple people agree that that thing needs to be fixed or changed, then maybe consider changing it. We're gonna get to beta readers in a second if you don't know what that means yet. You've self-edited, you have gotten the feedback from your critique partner, you have implemented whatever edits you felt needed to be implemented from that critique partner's feedback. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna pick out the self-publishing platforms you wanna use. So there are so many self-publishing platforms. The main ones are KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, Barnes & Noble Press, owned by Barnes & Noble, and Ingram Spark. So if you want, say, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, Amazon, every single bookstore ever, even the smaller ones or libraries, Ingram Spark will get your book into those stores. Same with Lulu and Drafted Digital, they also have that wide distribution. However, if you go with something like KDP or Barnes & Noble, then those are limited only to their respective owners' platforms. So for example, KDP is Kindle Direct Publishing. It's owned by Amazon/Kindle. So that will only get your book on Amazon. And Barnes & Noble Press, likewise, is owned by Barnes & Noble, and so they will only get your book on Barnes & Noble. Can you publish to multiple distribution companies? Yes. If you want to use KDP, Barnes & Noble, and Ingram Spark, you can absolutely use all 3 of them. Just know that there are pros and cons to all of these companies, and I can go further into that in another video if you guys would like. So the reason that I say to decide which self-publishing companies you want to use this early on is because you will need to set up your account months, and I mean like maybe even a year before your release. The reason that you want to do this is because they can take a very, very, very long time to process your banking information, and they need that banking information right off the bat so that they can pay you as soon as you have orders come through. So for me, it took Barnes & Noble Press about 7 months to process my banking information. So yeah, I would recommend very, very early in the process, like as soon as you know which ones you want to self-publish on, set up your accounts, get your banking information in, just so that it's not going to slow down your release. Alright, so after that, you want to start marketing on social media. Now, there's kind of a myth around marketing with self-published books, that you need to have a book already out before you can market it. This is a lie. So the next step is why it's so important to start marketing now. You want to get people excited about your book before it's released, because the next step after marketing is to find beta readers. Beta readers are strangers, people you've never met before, who are gonna read your book. And here's the catch. You have to get them to read it for free. How are you gonna get random strangers to read your book for free? Social media.
Sorry for the bad lighting. Hang on. Okay, so editing May here. I don't know what I was trying to say. I guess I was saying you have to get people to want to read your book without paying them, they are technically getting it for free, but they're getting it very early and not very polished. And they're also getting it in like a Google form or, not a Google form, sorry, like a Google Doc or a Word document manuscript form instead of like an ebook or physical paperback book like that you would buy at a store. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to get people excited enough to want to read it badly enough to where they would go to the extent of giving you feedback on a pretty rough version of that book, if that makes sense.
So if you can make your book sound so good that people want to read it, then people are gonna want to read it for free, right? Beta readers are going to stumble upon your book, and you're gonna give them a sign-up form, and they're gonna read your book and give you constructive criticism on it. So this is at a point where it's not a perfect book, right? It's still relatively a rough draft in the means of where we are in the self-publishing timeline. We're still not too far away from when you first had your rough draft. You've just gone through your self-edits and your critique partner edits. So now your beta readers are gonna edit it for you. But here's the thing, they're only gonna give you feedback on the world building, the character arcs, the time inconsistencies, the plot holes, anything that doesn't have to do with the grammatical errors, spelling errors, phrasing. I think you should say this differently. You've said this thing too many times. They're more than welcome to give that kind of feedback, but you're not going to require it of them because that is a lot for someone to volunteer to do. Now, I've had some amazing beta readers go ahead and give me that kind of editing, which is super rare. And just a heads up, you do want to make sure that they actually know what they're talking about when it comes to proofreading and line editing and all the grammatical English stuff. Yeah, so their beta readers are really just for the world building, plot, character arcs, time, inconsistencies, etc., etc. So after you find those beta readers, you're going to implement the feedback that you feel like applies to your book and that needs to be changed. So like I was saying earlier, if multiple people agree on something, then you probably need to change it. But if it's just one or two people out of a bunch of people, then it might not be necessary. It might just be a personal opinion of someone's. It's up to you what gets changed. And I'll go more into finding beta readers and beta reading in general in a future video. For now, we're just doing a quick overview of all the steps. Next down the list, you're going to want to self-edit again, implementing those edits, or you're going to want to find an editor. So there are a lot of freelance editors out there that you can hire to edit your book. If you have a very strong grasp on the English language, and if you feel like you've gotten professional editing level feedback on your book already, then you may be able to skip this step. And the reason I say that is because of the costs. I'm going to put on the screen a screenshot of the freelance editor general costs for a book. Yeah. So I personally did not go with an editor because I feel like I have a very strong grasp on the English language. I felt like I was pretty good on that front. However, if you yourself are not super spelling English inclined, or if you don't know anyone who is in that field or who could do that for you at a lesser cost, I would definitely consider hiring an editor despite the costs. There are some cheaper editors out there, but they are pretty pricey. It's going to be so important that you have a good editor or that you yourself are an editor, because this is self-publishing and a lot of people will not be afraid to leave a bad review. All right, next we're going to cover design. So I myself am a graphic designer. I've made a lot of book covers before, and I have Canva Pro, and that is good enough for me. I design all of my own covers. Here are some of them for reference. But if you yourself are not a graphic designer, or you feel like you need someone else to design your cover for you, then there are also freelance cover designers. Here are some of the starting costs for that. Covers are definitely the #1 marketing tool that you can have. So you want to make sure that you have a good cover, because whether people realize it or not, that's going to decide whether people buy your book or want to read it or not. All right, after that, we're going to line or copy edit, which means we're going to look line by line, make sure that everything sounds all right. Typos, check for things that maybe don't sound natural. Prepare yourself for copy editing. Next, we're going to file for copyright. This is a very long, tedious process. Just prepare yourself for it. There are a lot of tutorials on how to do this out there. You just want to make sure that you do it exactly right, that you follow the instructions on the copyright website. I will put the exact website that you need to go to below because there are probably a lot of them that are pretending to be the actual one and they just want to steal your money. So this is the actual government-run, government-owned copyright office website that you need to use. Next, you need to figure out ISBNs. This is another big topic that I'll do a more expansive video on, but basically you can either use the free ISBNs that the publishing companies you're putting your book on provide, or you can buy your own, which is the route that I went. I will make another video on this going into the pros and cons, and hopefully that will help you decide which way to go. Next up is formatting, and you can either hire someone to do this or do it yourself. I will also make a video on formatting, but basically no, it is how to get your book from the manuscript format to whatever format it needs to be in for actually uploading it to your publishing company's websites. All right, next we're gonna set up our books on our self-publishing platform, and I will do a separate video on this because it's also a very long process. Next, you're going to order a proof copy so that you can check for any errors you might find in the cover or in the interior, in the formatting, any errors that you might not have caught earlier in copy editing. And you're going to proofread. You're going to go all the way from the very beginning, from the front matter, the copyright page, all of that, to the very end, the back matter, maybe your about the author page, everything. I like to think of this as a final check to make sure that everything is aligned properly and looks good. After this, you're going to find some ARC readers. Now, ARC stands for Advanced Review Copy or Advanced Reader Copy. And basically, this means you're going to give people a free copy of your book, digital or physical, whichever route you decide to go. And in exchange for this free copy of your book in advance, meaning before the release, they're going to give you an honest review on Amazon, Goodreads, and wherever else you choose. So this ensures that you already have reviews on your book's page before it's published, so people are more likely to buy it on release day. After you've sent out the ARCs, after the people have reviewed, and you have put in all of your book's information, you've checked your proof copy, you've implemented whatever edits needed to be changed that maybe you caught there, you've readjusted the cover, you're going to submit all of that into those self-publishing websites. You're going to click publish and you're done. That's the entire release. I really hope this was a helpful video for you. If you have any questions or want me to expand further, please comment below. Let me know if there are any other videos you want me to do about this, if you want me to dive deeper into any of those topics. Like I was saying, I'm definitely going to be doing some longer videos about each step in this process. This was just mainly meant for a general overview of the process, so you kind of know what you're getting into for self-publishing and maybe the areas that you need to start thinking about and other areas that you might want to research. I also wrote a Clean YA fantasy series. Books 1 and 2 are out now. They're basically Lunar Chronicles meets Percy Jackson. And if you're more interested about that, you can go check them out on Amazon, or you can also follow me on Instagram at may.mccoy.author. Thanks for watching!